Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for dropping by. Some of you again. This is great. I think Dreamlab and Chris I'm seeing kind of for the third time today. This is very exciting. I've been streaming Stardew Valley this morning. Thank you so much for reminding me, Nate, that that was actually still the wrong game that was going out there. So I've gone live before changing the title for the stream. So it's one of those things. When you go live too many times, you forget where your head's at. So, just to let you all know, this is a funny statement I just made to Julia. We've kind of been working in silence there for an hour or so, and I just came up with, so I just built a Minecraft server. That's something you don't say every day, and it's kind of interesting. I just jumped onto Nate's Discord server, and there was a discussion about, hey, in this time of social isolation, could we have our own Minecraft server? And I don't even have the game. I've heard a lot about it, but the discussion kept going, and I was thinking, hey, Minecraft server, how difficult can it be? So I looked on the Minecraft website and said, well, just do this. And to me, that just spoke to me like one line of Java code. I was thinking, hey, I can make that happen. And literally within an hour or so, I had made that happen. So I built a completely new CentOS server as a virtual server, but it's a dedicated machine that only does this. It's got 2 gigabytes of RAM, so it's beefy kind of little machine there. And Nate and his community and me and my community, we can all enjoy it. So if any of you are into Minecraft, it's really, really easy to remember. It's mc.wpguru.tv. Drop by and enjoy. I might join you at one point if ever I get the game. I haven't even got it yet, but knock yourselves out. Private Discord server, not private Minecraft server. Yes. Let's make sure we keep the community going as good as we can in these difficult times. So thanks again for dropping by. I've got a few things planned today that have to do with my stream overlay. So this is what it looks like right now, and it's just about the little dancing FBI agent literally above me here. He's dancing all by himself, and that was kind of a test that we did there a week ago or so, and it looks good. So I thought I'm going to make some more animations that are along the same lines, perhaps some that don't have the cuts in and cuts out, literally just that little figure dancing, and having maybe the rat sneakily walk into vision, and maybe just have one of the girls doing this dance. So most of the assets I already have, and I currently haven't got a clue really where to begin, where I put my old project, so we may have to just start again from scratch. But that's cool. We made that happen last time, and if we just browse through it, that'll be really nice. Chris, remind me again, you're streaming at 7 p.m. Is that right? Because in that case, I can raid you. And of course, big news, I've just uploaded it to both Twitch as an upload and to YouTube as well. And I'll make that live probably later today. It is, of course, the fully edited animation of the Bank Heist project. So let me show you what that looks like. I believe this is it. Happy Heist. There we go. Oh, hang on. Not so fast, not so fast. Let's go and put that on. Let's put that on. Let's make that a bit like that. So this is it. Like premiere, I say, of the 4K version, which obviously you can't see in the stream, but it's a 4K version of our Happy Heist animation with re-renders. Check this out. It is so cool, isn't it? I think it's really rad. I think what we've done there is really nice. I appreciate being able to share this with you all. It'll be on YouTube later tonight, and yeah, I've up-resed it to 4K so that we have a bit of higher bandwidth there. But it was so much fun. I've re-rendered the credits. There's the other two people that had signed up on Patreon. They are now in the credits. So thank you so much, Joseph and Zayan. You're now in the credits. Very cool. And I have made one last minute change this morning. First of all, I've re-rendered the 300 frames that were missing, but I've also re-rendered this bit here. And that was the 2K version of the HDRI that I had in there, and I replaced that with a 16K version. So now this mountain doesn't have any jagged edges. And when you look closer, you can even see people in the background, which is very exciting. So very nice. It is, isn't it, Gorma? I'm really pleased about the result, and it'll be my channel trailer here on Twitch. Twitch are changing the layout a little bit for the channels, and they've given me a preview there. And it includes a channel trailer that you can add there. And I'm going to replace this on my YouTube channel as well. So the mouse that's currently my channel trailer, I'm going to replace it with this one, because there's quite a lot of work that went into this. So very cool. So I'm thinking then for the little mini animations here, we already have the dancing FBI agent. I think we can leave him as he is, but maybe I'd also like to have the FBI girl here. Might even have this guy here. That was also a nice animation. He's already in place. And then on the inside here, I think I'd like one of the girls here, maybe the lady in red or the lady in green. I like both of them. And of course, there's many other characters that we can use from the Sinti crowd. We'll see. And then, of course, there's the rat. So I'd like to do something with the rat, the 3D Universe Toon Mouse. I don't know exactly how we're going to do that, but let's try it out. Hello, Christina. How you doing? Oh, you've missed the final version of the animation. Shall we run it again? Let's run it again, shall we? For Christina here, this is your... And for Brian, there we go. Brian and Christina here, this is your premiere. Check this out. No problem, Christina. Anything for you. And Joe, oh my God, did you say Rod has gone out of the house? I'm just joking. That's so funny. I'm glad you like it, Brian. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's it was so much hard work, and it just, if you see it finally come together, it's just so nice that, yeah, when it's done. But like you say, Dreamlab, it is taking a long time to render animations. And the small ones, not so much. So the ones that we're going to add into the overlay here, where the FBI agent is dancing, we're probably going to do them today, and we can finish them today. I'm looking forward to that. I think since I don't remember where I put these animations, I seriously don't remember. I think I'm going to go and make a new folder on my desktop. And I'll call that, what are we going to call that? Stream animations. Is that a good idea? At least that way we have a central place where to put things from now on. I don't think I've had one before. Usually I put everything into here, but I couldn't find anything earlier about stream animations. It's probably because I just made it up and haven't really thought about saving that. It was kind of an experiment to see where that's going. So yeah, I guess stream animation. Oh, actually, let's put that folder into blend files here. Let's do that. Let's put it into my massive Blender directory here, stream animations, and I'll put that also on the little thingy menu. That I don't think we need that right now. Can I remove that from the thing? It doesn't actually matter if it. I'm happy for it to go longer. Oh, this is a little pin icon here, right? No, that's fine. Okay, cool, whatever. My interviews, yes, another project that I really need to make happen, you know, but it's time is not on my side, I'm afraid. These were the last few frames I've rendered here. I'll go and save that file and go start with a new 3D Shenanigans scene. There we go. Aha. Oh, you had issues with the chat? Yes, Sheepit, that is something I wanted to try out as well. It's completely free and you can kind of donate your computer to it as well. And if you have one that's not doing anything, you just go and have it add it to the farm and it will just contribute to the whole big Sheepit render farm project. That's quite nice. I'm just digging out my notes here on how large the animations needed to be. Kind of hoping that I have made a note of it here somewhere. Is that not here? Yes, there we go. Stream overlay animations. Perfect stuff. Let's turn that into a title so I remember it. So the top was 188 by 120. That's the supporter thing that scrolls. We're not going to touch that. Ours is 188 by 250. So that's not big at all. I'm just going to go leave that there. 188 by 250. The only thing, if you do animations, that you need to do is you need to, before you send the project over to the render farm, make sure you head over to File, and under External Data, you go and pack all images, like all texture files and stuff, into the blend file, and then everything is condensed in one file. So that's important to do. And then you can literally, like, if you want me to render something for you or the render farm or whatnot, you send me your blend file and make sure everything is packed into the blend file, and then you're golden. The only thing that this doesn't work with is video files. So you can add a video on a plane, for example, and then it just goes like moving texture, but it doesn't work with video. So video files are not packed for whatever bizarre reason. That doesn't work. But as long as they're all static images, you're good. Just thought I'd let you know. And then you're on your way to streaming with the Sheepit render farm. So I say we're going to make this our project here. Let's get rid of the cube here, and I'll leave the light in there for now. Just make sure that I remember the render dimensions, which were 188 by 250. So 188 by 250. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Okay, that looks like the thing for the cutout. I like it. I like it. So where shall we begin? Maybe actually not in Blender at all. Let's see if we can make the rat move. And I could bring the rat into Blender, but I could also just use the rat in DAZ Studio. Perhaps we're going to do that. Let's do that. And begin with DAZ Studio, because I like the rat creeping in, and there's probably another animation where he just goes backwards, and then we can make that happen. Kind of he goes into the wrong wrong direction and has to kind of come back. I like the idea. So once again then here, we may have to go back and forth between this. I'm just going to go and hack those dimensions in here as well before I forget. 188 by 250. Oh yes, and constraint proportions needs to be off for that. 188 by 250. Cubed controls, that's interesting. I didn't mean for that to happen. How do I uncube them? Qdoct, okay, there we go, perfect. And that's my aspect frame, perfect. Okay, so the rat. Let's bring in the rat and see if we can add a Mixamo animation to him. It's been a while since I've tried that out. You'd imagine I still have the little animations I made for the thriller animation, but I'm not sure if I do. So let's go and do that all again with the rat selected. Oh yeah, also let me go and put my pointer focus on so we can all see where my cursor is. I'll go and export him. This is tricky from DAZ Studio because there's so many types of Fbx export options. So I'll call him rat from DAZ. So I'll know where that's been exported from. And I don't really know if any of these make a huge difference. I'll just go and try the defaults and we'll see what happens. I'm kind of inclined to use this format here, 2014 binary. Let's use 2012, just see what happens. Oh, the sky's on fire, 16K, that was it indeed. It is indeed, yes, 3D Universe, very cool. Mixamo is the website we're looking for, mixamo.com. Sometimes 3D Universe is on a 50% off sale. It's a really cool idea to go and grab some of his products. They're really, really good, like very high quality, especially his Toon kind of figures. They're very nice. Look at that. This is regular Genesis 1 that I could import in there. That's another thing. If you ever wanted to deal with Mixamo animations in Genesis 3 and Genesis 8, don't import those figures into Mixamo. It'll just lead to tears and white hairs and trouble and depression. Don't go there. Use Genesis 1, upload him, apply an animation, download that animation with Genesis 1, and then in DAZ Studio, you save that animation as a pose for Genesis 1. Then you load in Genesis 3 or Genesis 8, and then you just apply that pose, and everything's funky. So, you know, but they don't want you to know that. So it's, let me go upload my mouse here. And that's, of course, rat from DAZ. Hey Rod, how you doing? It's a he, actually, Gorma. It's he. It's Steve, I believe. Is it Steve? I think it's Steve. Ah, there we go. Mouse. And he does this as a custom job as well. So he's made several custom characters that way for clients. He uses Lightwave. So let's go and see if we can find sneaking. It's like sneak. Is that something we can? Let's see what we can do with him. Left cover sneak, yeah, that's a nice one as well. And the tail will curl the tail as we have it. Him talking on the phone. It's not quite what I had in mind, these sneaking animations. I was more thinking of a kind of a walk, like a slow walk, like that type of walk. Like that, exactly. This is what I was thinking. And that from the side. It's not quite in place. Oh, we can make that in place. Maybe that's easier for us so he doesn't change. That might work. Then there's also this one here. That might be quite funny. I'm thinking so we can put a long animation, like a long video together in which he goes and first he walks, then he walks a bit slower, and then maybe in the end he walks really slow because he's totally exhausted. That could be. So I like that. I think I like this. I'll go and download that. "30 frames is probably adequate. I don't think it's fast enough. I don't think we need 60 frames. So let's go and use 30 frames. Just before I forget what we've done there, I'm going to go and make sure I'll copy that into the correct folder now. And I'll rename it as well. So much like we've organized the previous project, I'd like to organize this one. So this is maybe Mixamo exports. And walking is this. I will call that zombie walk. Perhaps this. Zombie walk. And then what was the other thing? What sadly animations are no longer going. Yeah, I think he was supposed to come with a zombie character here. And I'll make that in place as well. Sadly, I've forgotten to remove that freaking target again here. That's sneaking. Let's go and download that as well. That's also slow enough. I'll leave it at 30 frames. How is your work going, by the way, Brian? I'm very impressed about your mask printing project. That is very cool. That's a great idea. Brian's told me earlier that he's printing holders for additional kind of facial masks or like facial protection. That's a very cool idea. So walking 2, that's the other one that we're going to call that here sneaky walk. Sneaky walk, and then same old work, only less traffic. Yeah, we went to drop off the rent check earlier and it was just so quiet. It's like no one's here in the middle of the day. That's nice too. I think I'll have that. That can be our third and final animation for the rat. So what I see here now is that his hands are bouncing into the body a little bit. So I can go and increase the character arm space, maybe to 75. He still hits his bottom a little bit, so maybe we're going to make that even wider. And I think that should be fine, especially because we're going to see him from the side. That should be okay. All right, so there's quite a bit of work involved to make this little guy do all these things as I had envisioned them. I hope I can make all that happen. Maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. So walking, I'll call that one casual walking. All right. So back in DAZ Studio, I think I still want to use this actual model because he has the materials set up the way I want them, and he also has all these other properties that I like. But the other guys, the ones we've just imported, I think I can go and utilize them to apply their animations to him in a moment. So I think what I'll try and do is go leave him in there, and I'll go and import I called it casual. That's not good, is it? Let's see if we can rename that from this. Can we? Yes, we can. That's nice. That casual walking, much nicer. There was a time when Windows couldn't handle this. Take to import mixamo.com. Let's do it. And now we have two mice. He walks, very nice. And some of all these things are a little bit screwed up there. That's all fine. That's all fine. There's several ways of dealing with that. Just checking, this is the original Toon Mouse. So from here, I think what I can do, and don't quote me on this, I'll have to copy figure. And now I go to my original guy. And I think, is it paste to figure? I think that's what we do. Is that? I believe that is what we do. And now now anything that might have been in the Fbx that's kind of bizarre is now applied to my original mouse, including overly large bones, sadly. But I think I can switch those off. I think they're also not that important because all I need to do is make sure that I save this pose now or turn this into an anti-block, either of these two things. Dioku, thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube. I appreciate that. Very nice of you. I can try both, I guess. I'll go and delete this mouse, the previous mouse, and I'll go and try to turn this into an anti-block now. Let's see if we're successful with that already. And the anti-blocks then let me add an eye blink on top of this animation without having to destroy this, so that'll probably make my life a bit easier. We can go and just put it into the top anti-blocks directory. And just go right click on the space on the bottom here. I think that's how that works. And we say usually comes up with something really exciting. Only, of course, when the character is selected, which mine wasn't. Create anti-block from Studio Keyframes. That's what I was looking for, I think. And so there's these two options here, direct and transform. We want to do transform. Direct copy often doesn't really work. And now on my timeline, it looks like I still see no, there we go. Keyframes are now gone. Mouse is still walking. And mouse is now walking thanks to an anti-block. That's cool. I'll leave this in place. I'll deal with the kind of the X forward motion. Is it in here? I think this is X. It's the front, the blue axis. I'll deal with that via keyframes. But now that it is an anti-block, it's also looking good. That's good to know as well. Sometimes there's a lot of additional motion. We can just about see that here. So there's something on the X-axis that appears to be moving left, right. It's not that pronounced with him, and I'm not gonna fix it because we're only gonna see him walk from the side. So it'll be okay to just leave as it is. But sometimes it's really, really bad, and in that case, just while we're talking about it, you can remove that. If I were to go in, double click this, then I see the keyframes for this AniBlock, you can go into this thing here. That's the graph editor, and if you open that, you get to see all the like literally the keyframes as displayed as a graph. And I think if I open that up now, and I'll make this a bit wider on the bottom, there is my mouse here. There's the hip and the X position of the hip. This is what's causing that. So this makes him shift left and right. Sometimes that's like a large curve here, and that's an issue. I don't know why Animate sometimes does this, but if this were an issue, I would go and grab all these keyframes and then right click them somewhere, somehow. No, I'm not. How do I do that? Oh yeah, I'll go click the 0 thing here. And that's what it is. So minus means you remove them completely, but 0 means you're zeroing all these values out. And if I were to do that, it turns into a flat line. And as a result, now that motion is no longer there. But as I said, in this case, so I did fix it after all, but it wasn't bad for him. So we could have easily left it in place, because I'm going to go see him from the side, and from the side it wasn't really that noticeable to me. Just in case you guys have issues with that, this is how you get around it. So let's go and save my AniBlock now. That only works if I'm not in this. So in order to get out of this weirdo mode, there's this button that gets you out of keyframe mode back into this mode. And now you can go and click the bottom and then go and basically just go back into the regular kind of AniBlock assembly mode, if you will. To save it, I'll go and click this once so that it's gray, and then I'll go and hit that little disk icon. I'll go and put that into just my regular AniBlocks thing, or shall I make a folder? There's Thriller Mouse. Look at that. I've got all my old AniBlocks here. Ha, I didn't know that. That's cool. There's even the mouse eye blink I still had. Oh, I can reutilize that. That's going to be nice. That's very cool. Let me go make a new folder then. Oh, that's nice. Mouse walking, I'll call it. So this was the chilled walk, and now it's called chilled walk. I can't type either, Rod. It's crazy stuff. Man, I do miss all the fun. Yes, I'm so sorry. Maybe I should catch up on the chat. Give me a second. Tail movement, yes, that is possible. I don't know how realistic that's going to be, because if you see all these little segments here, they can all be twisted, and they all make up a nice curl in the tail. I don't know if there is a parameter. There's only fat and pot belly. Each of these can be adjusted individually. I might be able to get away with something of loading a tail curl pose. There might be something in there. I mean, these poses, they all include the tail being curled here, but it's a lot of work to make that animate, because there's so many segments. You know, if it would be one slider, it'd be easy to do, but with so many segments, I'll see what I do. I might do it as a separate AniBlock, but I don't know. I'll certainly curl it, and perhaps with the curl, it can then just with one segment, I might be able to animate one segment. We'll see. It's a bit much for me, really. I'm not that good at these things. I'm good at clicking buttons and dialing things in, but doing that from scratch is that's a bit much for me. I might just make it just curl up. I'll see what I do. I'll see. That's something I think we can do at the last minute. I'll just bring in the animations for now, and then we'll see what happens. So now that we no longer have this, we can also go click that, and now we've got this guy back. And I'll go move him to the side again and bring in the next candidate, namely the sneaky walk. See what that'll be like. So he has a lot of keyframes. And I'll try and create an anti-block directly from him. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see if it does. Takes a second, and hello, anti-block, anti-block. Okay, there we go. I still see keyframes here, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Now both mice are on the same spot. So this might, mouse walking, there we go, that's the chill boy, that's this one, okay. So that might, oh yeah, also the other thing that happened, so we need to go get rid of that. The other thing that happened was that the animation was longer than my timeline, and I didn't get a warning there. Usually I get a warning. Like now, there should be a warning to say, hey, that thing is longer than your timeline. So yeah, timeline is now, it should be 138. It's set here. So I don't know why that didn't quite work. So create anti-block from Studio Keyframes. Try that again. Maybe it didn't work because I had to, oh, there we go. Now it's worked. Yeah, no more keyframes. I like it. Okay. So I'm not sure if it looks as nice as it did with when I copied it to the other figure first. I think his feet are all wonky. Yeah, I don't think this is a good way of doing it. Let's go do that again. Get rid of you. Import sneaky walk. Yeah, because this entire posture is better here, isn't it? So I think what I'll do then is to go and with this guy selected, go and copy figure. Then I go to my other guy here and I go edit paste to figure. That now goes in the same position. I'll delete the Fbx imported mouse and hopefully that now looks much better. So now, just like before, so okay, there is a difference. That's good to know. So now I'll go make the anti-block from him then. Create anti-block from Studio Keyframes. Transform, yes. Boom. Keyframes. Keyframes gone. Okay, so it just doesn't update unless I, okay, cool. And does that look okay still? No, so now he's got a wonky body again. That's bizarre. We can hide it later. Much like the bones, this is not something we need to worry about now. But something's not quite right with the whole process of turning the animation into an anti-block. Something happens there. And of course, undo doesn't work. Because it's DAZ Studio. Why would things work? So let's go and try that again completely. It may have remembered the paste data, so I might be able to go paste to figure. Okay, let's see what happens if I try that again. Maybe scales and morph values need to be enabled. We can try that. That has half worked, so he's changed his position now. Interesting. Well, let's just try again. The only thing we can do. Glad all I have to do is paste to figure. If it's too cumbersome, we can always use a different animation altogether. Let's try it again and say just scale. I mean, not that there's any scale values in there. Just thought maybe that does something. Well, that seems to have worked. Don't ask me why. Because I didn't see scale values. But there's something not quite right about his feet. I mean, why would they do that? I'm pretty sure the original animation didn't do that. So sometimes it just doesn't work well with Aniblocks. And, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I'm super happy to ditch DAZ for this. I'm happy to do this all in Blender with action strips and just go and do that. Perhaps then not with the mouse, but rather with the Cinti characters. Oh, did it? Okay. Let's just have one more look at that. If I go and paste that to figure. I don't know why the position is. Yeah, you're right. It has actually, it is doing that, isn't it? I suppose, yes, his toes are just a bit longer, I guess. And if that happens with short toes, it's just like a human bending their toes, isn't it? Yeah, so I don't think I'll use the sneaky walk then, because that's just not looking nice. Okay, well, next then, import the zombie walk. So no toe bouncing here. That's a good start, isn't it? So maybe we can turn this directly into an Aniblock. Let's try one more time. Maybe it works. Create thingy, do that, do that. Looks the same enough. I like it. Go and call that. Oh, actually, yeah, just to satisfy my curiosity. Does it do any X wobbles? I don't think it does. Oh, nothing to be concerned about, considering we're seeing him from the side doing this, so it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So zombie walk. All right. So let's start with those two then and make those into two little loopable animations. I'll go get rid of this guy and load him again, and then I can apply the Aniblocks to him. And now, before we do anything else, I'll go and hide his eye target. Is that it? Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's see if I can remember how to do this. Have a great evening, Brian. Thank you for dropping by. Stay safe. Very nice. Didn't I save this? Maybe I didn't save it in the correct folder. Nice title goes here. Where did this get saved then? Was it in Thriller Mouse? Where's Zombie Walk? Didn't I just save that? I'm sure I did. Oh, there it is. I hadn't refreshed it. Oh, I just hadn't refreshed it. I see. So we'll start with the chillaxed walk here. I'll drag that on. And why is he now in the air? I wonder. That makes 0 sense. Thanks, DAZ. That's not helpful, is it? Why is that? Did I do that? Certainly did not. But hey, it's fine. Oh, it's because of the tail. I guess something looked at the tail and I thought that must be the bottom part of this whole thing. So yeah, the tail. Let's see if we can curl the tail. Man, I should have really thought about this before. Yeah, so the problem is really to make it subtle, you really have to select each of these things, and it's just, can you imagine animating each of these things too? I can't. No, I didn't want to pin it, no. And if you leave some out, it instantly looks wonky. But it's all there in the rigging, so that's nice. So I suppose what we could get away with then is if we pick one of these and then we just go and animate one of them rather than all of them. So we could probably do that. Doesn't help that he's not quite on the ground yet, but I think I can just about, I can just adjust that. I think. Don't quote me on that. Now let me go and put a floor in, like a plane. And then if we don't want to see all of it, I can always put like a texture on it that just cuts this out, or we get away with no floor at all. That's also possible. We'll see. I just want to make sure it is acknowledging that. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, he does this. So perhaps we'll see how much we see of that. It might not actually be that noticeable. Yeah, I think since he's walking quite fast and he'll be really small, I don't think we'll get to see it. It almost looks like the tail is moving already just because of his body movement, so I might not actually touch the tail. I might just go and leave it like that. We'll just leave it. It's cool. Awesome. So I think I like to see him kind of walking like this. 3/4, maybe like this. From the side would be nice. Like dead on from the side. Since he's very small, we can literally make him tiny. We don't have to see him in full there. I think maybe just half might be nice. And then I can correct that with I'll put the whole Toon Mouse in a group, and then I'll animate the vertical movement of the group rather than apply that to the character. So I've got something independent that might work better. But before we do that, and I think this will be noticeable, is to add the eye blink to that. Let me go save this file. And that is, of course, that. I'll go and maybe make a new, completely new folder here that's called DAZ Scenes. And that's the casual walk. Rat, casual walk. There we go. Even though he's a mouse, he's not a rat. I understand that. Of course, yes, Chris. Have a good meal, my friend. And we'll catch you at 7 p.m. by which time I promise I'll be finished. No pressure. Animations always take forever. So in order to see what that eye blink looks like, oh, I could have actually just created a camera from that. Should have done that. Should have done that so that we at least have a prophylactic camera here. New camera from perspective view. There we go. Just lock that position in. So for him to blink his eyes occasionally, let's go and create a new track on here. And that's now got the camera is completely not what I wanted. Let's go and delete that track. We need to go and select, I don't know if we need to select the whole mouse or if it's just the eyes. It kind of depends on how the Aniblock's been created. Let me try and just create the whole Toon Mouse as a sub track. And then I can go into my Thriller mouse thing and add the eye blink. Does that work? Yes, he does blink. There we go, he works. That works, perfect. So I'll go and put that in here. And the eye blink happens kind of at regular intervals. I just need the chill animation to loop. So maybe like, I think 3 times is a good idea. Twice. 3 times is here, and then I need for this to also loop as long, perhaps longer. It doesn't really matter. It's, you know, that's fine. By that time he'll be out of vision. And with a bit of luck, this should now overlay this on top of one another. So he should now walk and occasionally blink. There we go, and he does as well. Good stuff. Haha. I'm glad I did that. So the eye blink, I've set that up so that, I don't know if we can see that, and it's been a while too, but the eye blink is set up so that both his eyes don't blink exactly at the same time. And you don't usually want that in humans, but in cute cartoon characters, that adds a bit of, don't know what the word is, I guess funniness is the word. It just adds that to the character. If you do too much, if you do that too far apart, like this is only literally offset by 2 frames or so. If you do that offset too much, then the character looks a little bit stupid. So you don't want that. But if they happen at the same time, then it's like kind of an intelligent, straightforward person. A little bit offset means it's kind of a cute cartoony character, and if you do it literally with a second or so of a delay or half a second delay, then that usually indicates there's something wrong with the character. Slightly mad is the word I'm looking for. A bit dim is exactly, that's the expression, yes. So he blinks, he walks, he's cute, we like that. His tail even moves, so that's very exciting. Now all we need to make sure is that when we go switch to our camera, that we see him walking through the frame. And also, is that long enough, like 4 seconds, I believe? Or do we want to make it a little bit longer? We may just, I'm just going to go extend this one last loop, both of these. He's probably going to be out of vision by then. Yes, he will be. Okay, but we've got a bit of extra, you know, buffer on the sides. I'm still not entirely convinced about the floor, but we'll deal with that. So save the whole thing and create. I believe it is a group. I don't think a null can be animated. I forgot actually how this works in DAZ Studio. Let's try null first. And then the idea is we parent the whole mouse to the null. And I think the null we go and animate as a keyframe animation. It's kind of interesting that the null itself already has a keyframe in it. Was it because I wasn't on frame 0? That's what it was, wasn't it? So let's go and delete that keyframe. And move the null. I'll go make sure the plane and the mouse and the camera can't be selected, so that only the null itself can be selected. I'll go and try and make that start out here. And then as we walk forward, maybe at frame 100, I'm just thinking it's probably 100 is probably a good starting point. Perhaps at that point we would have liked for him to, oh yeah, of course, there's the tail. The tail needs to disappear from view, doesn't it? I totally forgot about it. So let's make sure we just make the tail disappear completely. Thanks to DAZ's new way of dealing with keyframes, we can just easily move that. Yeah, so this is too fast now. I hadn't accounted for the tail. So let's go grab that and just make that another kind of 50 frames longer. And it could even be slower. Let's do that even slower. Looks like we're running out of animation here as well. And then the tail goes away. Yeah, I think even a bit slower, I think. Isn't that weird? Yes, like these Japanese kind of robots that look like people, and but they're so realistic already that they're kind of in that very uncanny valley where you go, oh my God, that's creepy. Before that, exactly, when you can tell, wow, that's a machine, you're good with it. There comes the point where this is even cute and all. But then there comes the point where it's like, oh my God, that's mega creepy and shocking even. Until it then comes out of the uncanny valley again, when it's believably a human thing or something that you buy. It's buy into that it's human. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I'm gonna go and make this even longer. Actually, I like for him to be even slower. So I'll go and add one more loop here, and then we'll add more blinky loops here, maybe like that. That should be fine. And then that extends the animation too. So we go and we just move that keyframe over here. Let's see. That's nice. So there's one other thing that we need to do, and it also has to do with speed and timing. So it's by default, the transition between the keyframes is kind of Bezier, I guess is the word. So it starts slow, it speeds up, and goes slow again. And sadly, during that bit, we see him kind of speeding through, but now and before he starts walking into the camera, it's all a bit slow. So I think I'm going to go and either invert that, or I'm going to go and make that just linear. So I forgot, of course, where that is. TCB, isn't it? There we go. So let's go and mark all the keyframes, turn them into TCB, or rather from TCB into linear. Let's try that. So now there's a constant acceleration, and for us it helps it because it keeps him in the middle longer. Where he would usually rush through, we can now keep him there for a bit longer. So we need to see his tail disappear. That's cool, but we also need to see him come into vision. So I think the first keyframe is still not, he's already in vision. His nose is already in vision, so we need to make sure that that doesn't happen. So with the null selected, we just go and move him out, including his whiskers, I guess. There we go. That should do the trick. And I'm not sure if we can get away with no plane. What do you think? Would it be okay if he's just walking on nothing? Thinking about that he'll be above my head? Or should he have something like what the FBI agent has? He has this bit of a, he has just a tiny bit of a circle underneath him, and that's just a bit of a flaw, really. What do you think? Is that good? Is that something we should do, or shall we leave the flaw out? Sometimes it looks funny when they're walking on air, but since this is so small, we might be able to get away with it. Floating would work, you think? Right. It was a last minute decision. I added the flaw last minute to the FBI agent. Joe says floating should work fine. Rod says it should work fine. That's 3. I like less work, so that's 4 of us. Let's make it float. Let's see if we can put some lights into this. And then we have our first animation. Only took an hour and 8 minutes. Not bad. Crazy. So in regards to light, we could, let's use iRay, of course, for this. And see what it actually looks like. See if we need to make any changes. As I say, less is more. This is just the default light from the camera, isn't it? So auto headlamp, never. No, then it's just the HDRI now. And we're sure that on the camera itself, headlamp is, let's go turn that off as well. There's the HDRI. We don't have anything else in the scene, do we? I'm inclined to not actually use the HDRI here at all. I'm thinking, let's bring him to the first frame of vision. Let's just do this in the perspective view and just use a single light source, I'm thinking. Or is that? Or shall we just use the HDRI? I can't tell really. If so, I think we need to just turn it. Let me try turning it and perhaps cranking it down a bit. Yeah, I do like the reflections. We will probably get it. Let's use the HDRI. Again, less work. Let's do that. So dome orientation, we're in DAZ Studio. So up is not Z, up is Y. So dome orientation Y. Let's go and make that happen to about like maybe here. Will that work? I'm just thinking it's a bit flat, but perhaps flatness is exactly what we want here. Indeed, yes. I'm thinking we might get more of a dramatic effect if we just get just a spotlight. Where from? Front, side, opposite. Those are all considerations. Very, very interesting to think about these things. Let's try all of them. Let's try it with a spotlight. So I can't wait for Google Filament integration here. That could be seriously cool. I say could because I don't really know if it's going to be cool or not, but I can imagine. I can just imagine. Great minds think alike. I can imagine that might work really well. Input language switching. Typing left Alt plus switch changes your input language. Did I ask for that, Windows? Thanks for the tip, though. Thank you. We've learned something new today. Windows. It's very nice. I must say, though, I've switched my computer on this morning. I've installed a new graphics driver, and it's not been restarted ever since. So it's kind of, Windows has really gotten there. I remember the days where I had to restart my computer several times a day. Could be, maybe it detected that Goma, that could be. Let's make a spotlight, just a regular spotlight. We apply that. We look through the spotlight, and he just walks through it like that. It could be really cool. And I'll see if I can make that funnel really narrow on the light. We can also make it a bit warmer, I guess. I could give it a half CT. Oh no, actually blue, maybe bluish. That might be nice. No, actually orange. Let's make it just a tad like that. Points, okay. We can actually just use disk and spread angle. That's where we need to see this in actual preview for us to get an idea of what this is gonna do. We also need to go and switch off the dome light here, and then we need to, of course, crank that mother up to something along the lines of probably 20,000 for it to make any impact whatsoever. 200,000 maybe. That's probably too much. So 50 is probably okay if we just narrow the cone down. Also, I think I'm going to go and give the light a white temperature again, and just do that with the light temperature here. I think that's probably going to be okay. Right now, maybe we need to go and make the plane come back here, just so that I can judge his shadows a bit better, which currently I can't because it's just a very wide angle. So let's see if I can make that really slim. Yeah, and then it gets brighter already, so. Yes, I know it's bright. I understand. We make it less bright in a moment. And then the temperature, let's go set that to 4,000. Oh, say 5,000. See, this is where the dramaticness really comes in. I like that. I like that a lot. That might still be a bit too bright. And we can also add a little bit of the HDRI in it. So if we wanted to mix that together. I think it'll really bring out his eyes and his whole persona there. Add a little bit of HDRI in that. And it'll brighten up his otherwise darker parts. So that's exactly how we're going to do that. So we'll go dome and scene, but the intensity of the environment we're going to set to maybe 0.5. That's still too much. Maybe like 0.2. Maybe even less than that, just 0.1. And that really brings us his eyes. I like that. And the shadow isn't going to be there because as soon as we get rid of the plane, we're also not going to draw the floor, draw the ground. No, there we go. Then he's hovering. But I think as a picture, as an animation, this could work. This could work really nicely. We can, while we're here, we can play around with putting the spotlight slightly further to the left, slightly further to the right, but I think we're kind of there. Yeah, yes, I think maybe we can. Yeah. Let me go save this. And then we can always go and bring this slightly further to the front. Just as a test, so I've already saved it. It should be fine. Tool settings, I need to do the world coordinates here. That might also work. From the back, like getting smaller with the sun in the background, with the sun going down. That might be an idea. And that is, of course, that keyframe that we didn't want to have created in the first place. I think I liked it before. I can imagine what it looks like from further from this side. And I like the fact that there was more shadow in there. This is, yeah, I think I like the previous version. Let's go bring the previous version back. Open recent. No, there. What are these keyframes, might I ask? Perhaps it's best not to think about it. Unless he's doing anything nasty here, we'll just leave everything as it is. Yeah, let's use that. Let me go and render this out briefly. Because the pictures are so small, I think we should be good with that. 188 by 250. We want to have an image series. So let's call that renders. And then in here, we're going to go and say mouse chilled walk. Mouse chilled v1 followed by a number. Well, we're rendering camera 1. We're rendering all 211 images. See how long that takes. Oh yeah, we should have actually had a look at. Oh, there we go. That's fast. No need to tweak render settings either, I hope. Let's just have a look at the real world results. As soon as they show a mouse, that is. Could have really done 1 or 2 test renders and see how long it takes DAZ to do that. But I suppose it's all fairly. If it's like a second a picture, we can probably be we're okay. That's good, isn't it? That's good. 1 second a picture. I'm gonna nip to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I don't actually hear bus bus, you know, I don't actually hear that. There is a way to integrate that with the service called ift. When you do something, it can trigger like a physical buzzer in my house. So maybe we'll employ that one day. So I don't think I have the project from the FBI animation. Could be this one, could be that one. Let's see if it's in there. Oh yes, look at that. That is indeed my animation. So I have the FBI agent somewhere. If only I'd find the files again, I could use them. So that's cool. So that's the FBI animation. That's good to know. Good to know. We're doing a new project here. The only thing I find valuable about this is that when I go in and have a look at the codec we used, which I can't quite remember. See what Premiere says about this. It sounds like a cool idea, doesn't it? Yeah, people do that with super chat donations when you get a subscriber. That's something like a flashing light goes off in the background. We used Cineform. That's how we did that. QuickTime and then Cineform. That's the only one that contained an alpha channel. RGBA. Good stuff. Cineform. Good to know. I'll go close that project down. I'm sure I'll find the images somewhere. I'll go start with a new project and I'll save that where the rest of my stuff is saved. In fact, in a new folder called Premiere Projects. And in here, we'll call that stream overlays, actually. Stream animations, there we go. That should do the trick. So then in here, let's go and see if we can import the whole animation as an image sequence. Turn that into a new sequence. And there he is. That's interesting that that's actually twice as fast as I thought it was going to be. Oh, because it's a 60 frame jobby. How interesting. Can I change that to casual 30 frames? And then, of course, that hasn't actually done anything to that. So I need to go and I'm looking for the something along the lines of speed duration. There we go. Perfect. Let's make that 50%. That's more casual. What happened here? Oh, that's just his eye blinking. We only actually see him blink once, and that's enough to sell that. There might be, I guess we don't get to see his whiskers after all, so I thought we were going to see them. So it's probably fine to start the whole thing here. And end it here already, I think. Unless we do need more of a gap there. I don't know what this is going to look like as we loop it. I don't really want to loop it. I want to put this together in sequence with other things. So after him, that'd be like the FBI agent. So we may actually just give him that extra 12 frames so that there's a bit of nothingness before we start the next thing. That could be a good new game, yes. Yes, absolutely. There was, let me see if I still have it. I think I might have deleted it. Yes, I have actually. Have I deleted it? Yeah, I think I've deleted it, but only because I've added it to my website. So there's an article I've written about how to make this wobble disappear. I need to redesign my website too. We should do that. And that's not really what I wanted to show. This is what I wanted to show. This is how a Genesis 1 animation can be saved as a pose and then can be applied to Genesis 8 as well as Genesis 3. And that's just something I've captured in the viewport. So that's kind of cool how that worked so well. And it's literally, there's no trouble at all. But the key is really, as long as you bring older generation characters into Mixamo, that's why that works. So you try and put Genesis 3 or Genesis 8 in there, total nightmare. Mixamo is not going to accept it. And there's so many hoops and things that can go wrong. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I did it. So this was the original guy, the Fbx import, and then the pose got saved and I applied it to him and then to him. And they're literally the same movements. And this guy, Genesis 8, then has the what's it called here? The Agent Unawares G3 to G8 pose converter applied, so that the T pose is properly acknowledged on G8. Yeah, absolutely. I'll go and put that link into the chat. Mixamo animations on Genesis 3 and Genesis 8. If only I could spell. The I goes there, space goes there, and the same happens here. There we go. And don't forget the link there. Awesome. Try it, yes, absolutely. I think these types of animations from Mixamo are also really cool to not even use as fluid animations. You can literally just go to a point in the timeline and think, ooh, I like that pose. That's perfect. Sometimes that's also handy to have that many poses hidden in an animation. Some won't work, but many will. And I think that's just nice. So let me see what happens if since I don't have the original animation anymore for the FBI agent, I'll just go and grab the animation for literally the one that's live right now. Could that be under loops? Could be under streaming bits. Or I could just look in OBS. That is also an option. That is allowed. That's in my sidebar under FBI Dancer. That's under, oh, that's in Photoshop, Stream Overlays, Animations. Oh, that's where that is. Good stuff. So I'll just grab that. It'll be recompressed, but it's, you know, it's just a test. So it's in Photoshop, Stream Overlays, Animations. Okay. Rod, what are we going to do about organization, huh? So we can't continue like this, quite obviously. What are we doing? Animations is a good place to put that, actually. And what was the title again? Pray tell. It was FBI Stream Animation V5. That's the one. So bring that in as well. This guy is now 60 frames a second. Ah, okay. It's interesting. So what happens if I put that guy on here? Yeah, now the whole thing is 30 frames a second, isn't it? You can really tell, once you got used to 60 frames a second, you can really tell the difference. It's really that noticeable that there's more strobing and just less content. I mean, they don't say for nothing that frames win games. So he just pops in and out. So I'm going to go and make him fade so that doesn't look too bad. Just a regular transition should help. And we'll do a crossfade here as well. That's fine, Premiere. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And then there's no popping there. It is so super nice, yeah. I mean, in light of that, maybe I should just do it all in 60 frames. This is only a test, but I'm gonna go and leave it like this for the test. But it'll be, when I render the mouse out again, I will do it in 60 frames. It's actually a good idea. Just to get an impression of what it looks like to have these two things happen as an alternating thing on the stream. Oh, actually, we should give it a proper title, shouldn't we? Let's do that. This is Mouse Chilled V100. That's not a good name there. Mouse and Agent Test. Yeah, there's so much to be said for 60 frames. Have you ever played? I mean, I can only imagine what this is like on even higher frame rates. Have you played something with 144 frames or higher? Like 200 frames? I believe it was QuickTime, and then it was Cineform with Alpha. And we match the source. We do not need audio. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I bet on really fast motion, I suppose on regular motion content, it doesn't really matter that much. But if there really is something else happening in between the frames and you can react to it, that is how the pros win things, seriously. Stream overlays, animations, mouse and agent test, boom, and export. Absolutely, that is what I always worry about, Gorma, because the thing is, my CPU or my GPU keeps up with 60 frames a second, but anything higher than that, I'm thinking, my goodness, this is gonna be awkward. Mouse and agent test, here we go. It's in the same position, so that is what it looks like. And then the agent comes and dances. Not so bad. I'm sure I'll find his source files. It's almost like the mouse is too dark. Do you find him too dark? Do we need to brighten him up a little bit? Let me look at it on a lighter monitor. Sorry about all the mess that is now appearing into the infinite loop of video doom there. Actually, on a lighter monitor, it looks better. My Mac monitor has a really hard contrast. Indeed, yeah, that is what I worry about as well. There's just my GPU would just never be enough. Well, thinking about that, let's go and see if we can teach DAZ to render this out in 60 frames. I think what happens when you do that in DAZ Studio, I think you'll just set this to 60, and it's not very good at acknowledging it all. I think the frame rate, like the range, just doubles. So let me go and save this before we do anything scary here. If I change this to 60 frames, I think what happens is that this is going to turn into 424, I think. Close enough. But I think the keyframes are still in the correct position, so the duration hasn't changed. It's just twice as many frames. Ooh! I'm getting friend requests. That's cool. I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, I never really noticed it before, but there are games that, like older games, when I play, what's it called, Uncharted on my PlayStation 3, the first Uncharted, they hadn't quite worked out because it was a launch title for the PlayStation 3. They hadn't quite worked out how to tap into the whole potential of what this thing could do. So they learned that for Uncharted 2 has a bit of a higher frame rate, but 1 has literally, we're talking 20 frames or so. And it really is noticeable when you're trying to line up your weapon with the character in the background and you think you guys are literally jumping from here to here. It's not like a fluid, smooth movement there, and neither is my cursor. So it kind of the same principle applies if you go from 60 to 144, I guess. It's just less extreme and less noticeable. But I suppose it's still there, so yeah. I'm going to do this all in 60 frames per second. And I will have a hunt for the FBI agents' source images. Yeah, right. Now it is, but back in the day it wasn't because I didn't know any better. I think that was quite an eye opener for me that I thought, hey, that's just crazy that it's so noticeable to me now. Let me know what you think about the rat in the overlay. And let's see if we can put other things together. We have about 15 minutes, so I think we can try and put the other animation into the same place. I might just use the same lighting here, literally the same scene. I've saved this as a 60 frame a second version. And with the framing and everything else in place, I think I might just go and delete my Toon Mouse and my null and use this as a template for the next scene. Let's do that. I think we can do that in 10 minutes. So I'll go and load my guy again. There he is. Now I'm going to go and I'll just go take this off. Put you here, make sure that eye target is no longer there. And with the Toon Mouse enabled, we want to go and let's see what the other things look like. I mean, that might be a nice animation. See what else I have here. We can have him thriller dance. That's actually quite cool. These are also from Mixamo, of course. And if we imagine him coming towards us, that might be a nice way of literally utilizing the old Annie blocks. And we'll apply the tail curl again. That's probably something I can even export from the scene that we already have. Just take the curl thing out of that. I think this was so long that they've split that up into several blocks. Some of these don't work that well, like the arm, that doesn't work that well. This didn't work at all. But that's kind of the classic thriller dance moves here. That might be cool. It might work. It might work. Yeah, so the eye target that they have here, that is, so if you enable that, his eyes are not uniform. I think that's why they've done that. So the idea is that usually you have to go and click into an eye and click into the other eye and then manipulate the eye. But if you use the eye target instead, then you can go and do something like this. So then both his eyes follow. And that's a nice effect. So you would go and literally animate the eye target in conjunction with the head. So then if you want to move the head, you could do this, but with the head moves the eye target. So if we wanted him to look at the camera like that, you would do the head motion, and then you would also use the eye target. and move that as well. Something like that. So we could try that. That might actually be an idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. So while he's coming to us, he just goes, turns his head, and then just goes and turns his head again. So like literally walks in, turns. That's a great idea. Let's do that. Guys, that's an awesome idea. Just because I'm used to the timing, I'm going to go back to my 30 frame animation, just because I'm kind of used to all the timing bits and pieces there. So if he does this, starts turning his head here, oh, he's unselectable. That's a great idea. So we go and put a keyframe here, just at the head, so that we don't want him to move anything up until here. Then we're going to go move you. Then he's looking. And then he's looking back. So at about here, we want to be back. But here we want him to look into the camera, maybe then even lower his head a bit. We can probably make that happen as well. And we'll deal with the eye target in a moment. Why didn't you put a keyframe there, DAZ? That's uncool. Oops. Isn't that bizarre? I can see the keyframes, but DAZ isn't acknowledging what I wanted it to do at that point. Is it because we're on, I think I know why that is. It's because we still got control on animate here. So let's go and bake all these to the regular keyframe timeline. It is product specific GOMA, yes. It is just for this and some of his other characters. So I mean, he has animation experience, Steve from 3D Universe. So he knows his way around, and that's partly why he's added these things in there, because he kind of, you know, he knows what it's like. Yeah, this is awkward to do, I'm afraid, because now I believe his head has keyframes for every This is really bizarre. I don't really know why that happened now. Let's try this one more time. So set a keyframe here. But yeah, it doesn't. Oh, it does it for one frame? Yes, because I guess it has keyframes now on everything. That's not what we want, is it? So that head movement is much more difficult than we thought it was. Let's go back to our saved scene. So usually these things do overlay though, don't they? So if I wanted to make a change like any which way I want, isn't that being acknowledged? No, it's not. For some bizarre reason, it's literally, it disappears from the timeline. So it's here, it does set it. And it's ignored. I'm not entirely sure why. So the only thing I can suggest is that perhaps the keyframe, there's a keyframe for the head movement at every frame. It's not like in a regular animation where when something isn't keyframed, it's being left alone. I think in this case, it's literally being overwritten for every frame, which also makes sense why when I baked everything to the studio keyframes, there's literally a keyframe for his head movement at every single frame. So there may be a way out of this by looking at that with the graph and seeing if we can just remove that. So yeah, up, down, twist, yeah, right, okay, so this is literally, there's a keyframe at every frame. If we were to go and say all of these, and this is, I'm just guessing here, if we go and remove all of these, I've also selected the left eye, so I didn't want to do that. Nicely done. Let's go and see if we deleted all of them. I guess I should have left the first one in place. It'll still work. Let's see if undo works. Yeah, perfect. So maybe the first one I can leave in place just because that means we get that head position. Ha ha ha. So now, if we're here, we want to set a keyframe exactly like that, and then maybe 10 frames later he's turning into the camera. We'll set that in a moment. And here he's turning back, and then here he's already going into this position again. So then that's probably enough. The rest we can do with the eye target. Oh, okay. Julia says it's 3 minutes to 7. That means Chris is about to stream. I don't know if Chris is around, if Chris is already online. I won't be long then. We'll just try and make this happen. That is not selectable. Is it not selectable? Eye target, there we go. So directly at the camera at this point. Although I guess we were one frame. This will work. And now we'll just go and copy those keyframes that we've just made further up there. So let's go and try and copy those things first. I believe is it, or duplicate rather, is probably what I'm looking for. Is there such a thing, like duplicate keyframes? Come on, there's gotta be. Delete, select, copy. Okay, copy is good. Copy, and perhaps we can just go and paste keys. Haha. That's that. Now we only need to go with the eye target here. Oh, that was the eye target. Okay, now we just need to go with the head movement. Sorry, head movement is that? That's what I thought the head movement was. Well, no problem. We can just go and repoint the eye target. That's okay as well. There. Oh, that's the eye target. Gotcha. Nice. So then the only thing we need to do is hide the eye target. Eye target has these two little balls here as well, so we just go get rid of that. And now he's looking at the camera. What say you? Good day's worth of work? I do actually like that. It really adds something to him when he goes and especially because he blinks while he's looking at us. That's quite nice, actually. Thank you so much for the suggestion, guys. That's very nice. Let me go render this out at 60 frames a second, and I'm going to cut it short for today, but this is what will be continuing tomorrow, I guess. So there's more to do, there's more animations to be done. There's also, you know, the lady in red dancing and maybe some other people from the Sinti group that we can make happen. I also like the idea of reutilizing those thriller animations. Maybe we can come up with something. For now, thank you so much for dropping by. I'm going to go and raid Chris after this if he's still online, or if he is online already. And you know, maybe we'll meet on the other side. Also, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to do more Stardew Valley. I'm trying it on Mixer and YouTube. So if you're around, please join me, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same time, same place. And 5 p.m. tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. I think that's all I have to say. Bye, my friends. Take care. Be safe.